Terence Bud Crawford just gave his expert opinion on Gervonta Tank Davis as a person. Honestly, to be real, Terence Crawford was blatantly saying that he's not a fan of Gervonta Davis as an individual. He's just not, a person that likes who Tank is as a man, and that's respectable because, everybody gets, has the right to their own opinion on people. But he also said that, Tank moves in a certain way. He downplays, the achievements of guys like Shakur Stevenson and, all of these other opponents. But in actuality, Tank just doesn't want to fight styles that aren't conducive for him to win. Obviously, Tank has been, talked about. A lot of criticism has been put on Tank because of, the rehydration clauses, beating no names and people that we know aren't on his level. He's getting in the ring with these guys, stopping him and making these, big performances. But a lot of people are always talking about who he's fighting and why he's fighting guys that, maybe shouldn't be in the ring with him. So Terence Crawford is alluding to that and saying that, we all remember when Tank was asked about Shakur Stevenson. Whenever people bring up Shakur's name in an interview, Tank always shuts it down and says, he hasn't done anything to warrant a fight with me. He doesn't, hasn't really accomplished anything in the sport of boxing. But, real fans know what Shakur has done. And Terence Crawford was saying, Tank is kind of taking attention away from Shakur Stevenson. He's trying to draw the media and everybody in the sport of boxing away from Shakur, saying that he's boring, saying that, he hasn't really accomplished anything in the sport, because in Terence Crawford's mind, he believes that, Tank's not that confident that he can land a big punch on Shakur Stevenson. He's not that confident that he can beat a guy like Shakur Stevenson. So he's trying to, take that attention away from a fight with Shakur. And, that's what Terence Crawford is saying. That's what he believes is happening. He believes, he's not really giving Shakur Stevenson the flowers or the credit that he deserves in the sport of boxing, because, what he's done, real boxing fans understand that, Shakur basically wiped out 26, wiped out 30, and then at 35, Tank's really the only guy who hasn't, given him a shot to, really take over the 135-pound division. And, the reason being is because he's saying that Shakur doesn't deserve it. But if you look at it, Shakur's accomplished a lot. Real boxing fans know that. So whether or not you're rooting for Tank or you're rooting for Shakur Stevenson, that's still the fight to make. Keyshawn Davis obviously got that win over Baranchyk, and he looked great in that fight. Looked like a superstar, got the stoppage in the 4th round, and, got that body shot off, a combination, and just, made him quit. It was a good fight from Keyshawn Davis, but he's relatively new to the scene. Every boxing fan knows that Shakur Stevenson and Tank is still the biggest fight at 135, and Keyshawn's knocking on that door, but it's still Gervonta and Shakur. And, a lot of people, including Terence Crawford, are talking about how, Tank just doesn't want to give credit to Shakur because he knows that Shakur's a threat. If Shakur's a threat, we need to eliminate that threat, because Shakur stylistically is a handful for Tank. So let's, as Tank's team, let's push the narrative that Shakur hasn't accomplished anything. In that way, maybe people will avoid, talking about a fight with Shakur Stevenson. But the real boxing fans know that Shakur's the best, because, these rankings and the titles don't lie. Shakur's up there with the best. He's got to be the best lightweight alongside Tank Davis and Keyshawn Davis. So he deserves, a shot with Gervonta Davis. I think Shakur and Tank is the biggest fight to make in the sport of boxing, and for good reason. If you look at it stylistically, it's a tough stylistic matchup for both guys, but more importantly, we're so used to seeing Tank as a knockout artist, the guy that breaks fighters down. But Terence Crawford talked about how if he fights a guy like Shakur Stevenson, if Tank fights a guy like Keyshawn Davis, he's going to have a difficult time, because it's not going to be easy to get back into a fight against Shakur or Keyshawn if you're Gervonta Davis. And, obviously Tank has the equalizer, but Terence was talking about how, Tank is always losing until he isn't. So if there's somebody that can, keep their foot on the gas pedal and not let Tank back into a fight and get caught with a big shot, it's going to be Shakur or it's going to be Keyshawn. But Terence feels very strongly that Keyshawn Davis and Shakur will both be able to beat Tank. And, he's the best pound for pound fighter in the world right now, so you got to respect his opinion, even if you think there's bias in it. He believes in these guys, so I think that it's fair to say that his opinion is valid, because Shakur, Keyshawn, they're world title holders at 135 alongside Tank. So those are all, good fights for Tank. He has 2 options now to go in the direction of Keyshawn or Shakur. Both tough fights, both fights that I think he could lose, but I'd still favor Tank over both guys just because of the power. Tank's a good boxer as well. He just hasn't really showcased it yet. He hasn't had to because he's been able to stop all these guys. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Terence Crawford kind of talking about Tank, saying that, he doesn't want to give Shakur attention because, he knows that he's a big threat. But let me know down below what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next Navs Boxing video. Peace.